What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Box Office Banner and Cult Flick Symposium, and I think we're finally ready to do it. We're finally ready to say goodbye to the Fast Saga. Now, if you notice, this is an 8-movie collection. I don't know if my camera's going to focus or not. You get the gist, though. 8 movies. Where's the ninth, you might ask? Well, I did, of course, buy it before the ninth one came out in 4K, but it goes even deeper than that. It's because I do not like the ninth one at all. This one, where I was teetering, as I said, I felt fatigue. This one really just, it sealed it right on fucking shut. Like, I did not have a good time with this movie. All those crazy scenes no longer were even like, that's fucking dumb entertaining. They were just like boring. Like, they didn't even get a single jolt out of me all movie. I was the definition of that word again, fatigued. And I haven't watched it since the theater. So I was hoping this time around maybe something would change, something would be different. It was not. I'm still not a fan of this movie. This one takes it places that it just, I don't want to say didn't need to go, but it just doesn't capitalize on anything. It feels like everything I dislike about this franchise seems to glare even stronger in this one. The eighth one was a lot better, especially this time around, than I remembered it. Like, it was good, but again, absence of Paul Walker. I feel like it was kind of easier to glare over because they brought something new to the table of Dom being the bad guy and all that. By this one, getting back to their roots, I did kind of feel the absence of Paul. But even more so, something that I'm not a fan of this franchise for is the way they switch bad guys into good guys at the drop of a hat, but also the way they bring people back. Now, I said Letty was a little bit easier for me to intake this time around when she came back. But Han coming back, I just do not buy this at all. They've switched up, which they even showed in the other one, like how it happened, because we've already seen that Lucas Black, I know I said Lewis Black in the one review I did for Tokyo Drift, but Lucas Black already had been shown, like running up on Han and it blowing up. And then now we see, which granted, this was at the end of part 6, I believe, or part 5. Yeah, at the end of part 5, where we see Jason Statham for the first time and he's there to like toss a necklace. It was already, setting us up for failure with that because we're like, that's not how it happened. But seeing it come full circle in this movie, and then it just feels like a half-ass, explanation, just like, yeah, well, whatever the fuck Kurt Russell says to him, it doesn't feel warranted. Han's one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite characters. I've said numerous times in these reviews. He should have stayed dead. I do not like it. And they make the ultimate sin to me. Now, you know what? This might not be as bad if we see it. I haven't really looked much into what happens in Fast X. I like to be genuinely surprised in movies sometimes, so like I'll kind of stay away from them other than the trailer till I see the movie, and a lot of times I won't watch trailers after the first trailer. So at the end of Fast 9, Brian pulls up in his car. Now that could be a cool little like, oh damn, like that's cool. He's coming to the barbecue, but we don't see him. A nice little tidbit. But knowing this franchise, I'm not taking it that way. I think they're going to try to maybe incorporate him, maybe by using his brother in real life. Paul Walker and his brother look a lot alike. Now, I know he didn't technically die within the franchise, but he died in real life. Let that storyline end. Let it be a thing where maybe we can bring him up, but do not try to put him back into the movies. That's like the last nail in the coffin for this type of shit in this franchise. Do not do this. Okay. It was kind of cool seeing Mia back in the picture. I got why she wasn't in the last one because, she's supposed to be off with Brian. So that was at least, kind of cool. But is she that good in the movie? No, not really. And neither is anybody in this movie. Now, this franchise and what goes on within it, there's not stellar acting, but they do at least, do stuff enough to where they emote something out of you, whether it be the action sequences or the performances where, the family element of it felt genuine, or, within the performances of the eighth one where that kind of waned, it's kind of like, oh my God, they're up against Dom. They're always pulling something out of you. And this one, I don't know if they're just out of tricks, but everything, it just feels like everybody's phoning it in more than ever. Like, I'm just not in it. Maybe it's because we're missing The Rock now. This is the first one without The Rock, and I think it glaringly shows. The Rock was the charisma. He was that like bit of like fun that he pumped into everything. This is a lot like the fourth one in terms of not being very fun amongst everybody, but at least, you know, they're trying to some degree, of course, with Tyrese and Ludacris and shit like that. But it just doesn't work. It feels duller than ever in terms of like delivering that fun. Again, at least they're trying, but that's almost borderline worse because you're trying and it's still dull. That can be a problem. It was for me here. The action set pieces, you know, we after 8 kind of dialed it back a little bit surprisingly on this watch. This one's got all the crazy ones. We go to space. Like, just why? We don't need to go to space in this franchise. We just don't. I get it from some standpoints. It's like, you know, at this point, take it all away, but don't take it that way. Don't do that. The one scene, again, even there's certain shit, again, you can suspend that disbelief. Like, even something as dumb as like when John Cena, and we'll talk about him in a second, goes off the, you know, cliff and it's like a magnet and pulls him up. It's like, okay, that's dumb as fuck, but theoretically in a movie universe, I could see that happening. But like Dom flying off, knowing he's gonna fucking get hooked like right around where the tire is and then get swung over to where he'll land on a cliff and roll over. That, see, there's differences in that to me. It just, that takes it a step too far. And I'm being generous. I'm saying driving off of a cliff and getting picked up by a plane, by a magnet is not taking it too far. But you get what I mean. I've done enough times or have given enough examples of where it takes it a step too much for me. This would be an example of that. But even then, you know, if the rest of the movie is still fun, like it's good, but again, there's just not anything here that's worth your wow to me. John Cena, we'll talk about him in particular. I've become a huge fan of John Cena. John Cena is one of the biggest reasons I left watching wrestling. I mean, I left watching wrestling because I was already about done with it, and they brought in this John Cena guy. You can't see me, and I was just like, all right, dude, that's it. That's my exit. This guy's annoying. This is gonna be one of the new faces. I just couldn't get into it. But I've grown to love John Cena. It started with what in the fuck is that movie? The Judd Apatow movie with Amy Schumer, Bill Hader, LeBron James is in it. Trainwreck. There you go. Him in that movie, I was like, dude, he's funny as hell. Like, he has great comedic timing. He's got all that. And then in other movies, like his role as Peacemaker and shit like that, his roles early on as like the Marine and things like that, it just did not work at all. And when he's tried to do serious later on, it hasn't worked well for me. Vacation Friends, he's really funny in that. He really is I guess like his timing is just, it's extraordinary. It's amazing. But he's not Batista. Batista can be funny, but Batista can also be downright serious and be pretty fucking good at it. John Cena and his attempts to be serious, as much as I want him to fucking succeed in that, it just doesn't work. I thought it worked pretty well in the Suicide Squad movie when he made the turn and then he was serious. I believed it, but I don't know if he needs a balance. But from word go to end, he had a chance to like do something with this villain, and it just does not work at all. Like, he's so painfully dry, and I just cannot handle it. Now, what's interesting is we're getting Jason Momoa, another bigger-than-life type figure that's going to fill in as a villain, and it looks like he's having fun with the role. I think that would have been the right move to do with John Cena. Now, maybe after we get the backstory, again, we'll get into that. Not even fucking needed. Good Lord. Don't even get me started on that. The John Cena thing, maybe because it's his brother, it needed to be more serious. But maybe just do away with the fact that it's his brother at all. Why even, like, I mean, maybe like that's like a cool little wrench to throw in. Maybe it sounded good on paper, but John Cena and like a Peacemaker type funny role, like it looks like they're doing with Jason Momoa, that seems like the perfect niche for him. Did not do that here. And I think they're learning from it. It's just like, okay, next villain, have an imposing guy, but have him with like a little, spark. Give him some pizzazz. Do something. Jason Momoa looks like he's doing that, so I'm curious to see if that kind of revitalizes the franchise in a way. 'Cause I think you need that guy, and right now it's lack thereof across the board. And Cena could have been that guy, but the way they utilized him, he just does not have those chops that I've seen yet to where he can carry a movie being strictly serious. Speaking of that backstory, this backstory can just get the fuck out of here. Every time it's on screen, It's annoying. A lot of times backstories aren't needed. Every once in a while you get a good one. It's like, but I don't need to see how all this shit panned out. I don't. Now maybe they could have chose these guys that weren't that good and had like, it's like, oh, it's Cena, and they could have done like a quick, like, instead of long drawn out of the movie, it could have been like clip, 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 clip. And then, Dom's just like, and then after that, we had to deal with this clip, 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 clip. We started out being close, clip, 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 clip. And you got the clips, and then out of nowhere, it's just fast shot, and it's a total of 2-minute screen time, 3-minute screen time, while Vin Diesel tells the story, and you're getting the quick clips of his story as it goes. They maybe could have done something like that, and it would have been fine, but like to stretch it over the movie, the guys that are playing them, it just isn't believable at all to me. It feels very TV movie when this is on the screen, and it just does not work at all. Not a fan of it in the least bit. The only person, literally in this whole movie, that I can say I enjoyed watching was Charlize Theron. She is great in this movie, and her screen time is really fucking limited. But when she's on screen, boom, engaged. Everybody else, it's like, this can just go to hell. Not feeling it, not liking it. The magnet thing was like, it was okay, but they almost overutilized it. They like almost like it felt like they didn't have another gag or two to give like they normally do, where it's like, this is here, this is here, this is here, and you can kind of pick apart each one, like, oh, that was kind of cool, that was kind of cool. It's just like, I want to do the magnets again, like, why not? It just did not work for me overall. One thing I will say that could have been a bright spot for this movie, though, remember how I talked about the one scene where fucking John Cena drove off the cliff and then got caught with the magnet? That's where the magnets begin. And then Vin Diesel somehow knew he could drive off and like connect like the wheel of the tire and fucking, end up rolling around on a cliff and have that, when Letty's like, Dom, you're not doing it. Dom, don't do it. That whole scene, that whole area, that almost like Amazon type place, that was somewhat fun. And I'll tell you what, like, I think it was fun because it was something different. Like, when they were there, it was actually okay at that point to me. The movie as a whole wasn't that good, but I was kind of, lingering in that, like, lower to good tier level where I was like, you know what? This is kind of a unique change of pace. It's at least something different. I like that they're doing that. I'm enjoying, like, just the scenery and cinematography amongst the batshit craziness. It's a change of pace to be out of the middle of the fucking city. But as soon as they left that place and they went back to the city, I was just like, oh, like I felt it even more because they went from a place I'm like, oh, I like this location, to like, oh, back here and the movie's dry, the movie's dull. Oh, not the backstory again. This movie is just not good at all to me. I'm gonna be generous because there is some entertainment here. Like, it's spectacle. Like, oh shit, how'd they do that? I'm not gonna completely bomb this damn thing, but for what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to do, this movie does not entertain in the slightest. And I think Momoa, the more I think about it, it's gonna have a chance to really help. A few more good set pieces, maybe a little bit, just a little bit more of a committed role from somebody, somewhere, at least one person in the group, and have Momoa give him that, at least, carry the movie. I think he might have a chance because it looks like he's having fun with the role. We might be able to get back on track. I'm not writing it off yet. This could just be, even though it's waning, this could just be the one that's like, oh my God, like maybe the whole franchise is a misfire, like I originally kind of diagnosed. Maybe going forward, it will just be that low tier fun that, you'll catch it, but it just wasn't what it was anymore. But it isn't completely buried like I originally thought with this, because I think this does have a chance to be a misfire. You incorporate a great villain in Momoa, and we'll see, we'll see. But overall, man, this movie, not good at all. So we're going to do our ranking here soon, but that's it, guys. That's the franchise. What the fuck? We did it. We did it, people. We made it. Thank you, everybody who stuck with me. And we do have one more review left. Let's not, like, I'll be like, well, you're not going to do X? Yeah, but I mean everything before the movie theater day, which it looks like I'm going to release that on Saturday now. I don't know exactly when I'm going to see the movie because I'm doing this obviously earlier on. I'm kind of recording these in advance because of how many there is. I'm not going to pin all these to myself on one day. That way I'm not like rushing, like, oh my God, I got to do one every day. Sometimes I've done 2 a day and I've kind of just, backlogged them, waiting to release them. But I don't know exactly when I'm going to see it, but it looks like the review, I'm not going to drop it till Saturday. And I believe I'm doing that with Rodney. So Rodney's going to get to chime in. He also wasn't a fan of Fast 9. I'll be curious to see if he liked Fast 9 more this time around. And I think he's going to do the ranking with me. So it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate y'all tuning in. And next time you see me, Fast X, bro. It's here. Boom. See if we got back on track, at least from my point of view. Love you guys. Been a journey. Peace.